folks, it's me, Gail from Seattle Coffee Gear, and I'm here to talk about the Diletta Mio. This is one of the latest in the lineup of single boiler machines that Seattle Coffee Gear is offering. And let's go over some of the features of it. It actually has some nice features, and it has some stuff that I would like to have, but it would drive the price up to where it just wouldn't work. So it's got a PID, which is quite nice, to adjust the temperature of the boiler. And the boiler is on the inside, and it's a brass boiler, and it's 13.5 ounces of water. It's a relatively small boiler, but it does the job, and it sits right on top of the brew head, so it the ambient heat tends to keep the brew head at the right temperature. It has push buttons for controls on, off. This is your brewing button, and this is your steam button. Let's say you're the kind of person that doesn't really steam a lot. You can actually turn the steam off right over here so that your machine is not consuming the power to keep that thermo block. And it is a thermo block that powers the steam arm. Anti-burn steam arm, one hole, nice stainless steel casing, as you can see. Has a manometer down here that actually tells you what your brewing pressure is at. It should, if the grind of your coffee is correct, it should pop up to about 10 as your first brewing and then settle in at about 9.5. And so that would give you a 25 to 30 second pull for 2 ounces of espresso. If you don't have that right, adjust your grind up and down, adjust your temp, play around with it a little bit. But if it tastes good to you, what you're getting, don't mess with it. Has a 58 millimeter portafilter right here. Comes with a single and a double. It's the typical chrome-plated brass portafilter. 58 millimeter, like I mentioned. Stainless steel casing. Your water tank is right back here, and it is 67 ounces, and it comes out like that. And what's nice about that is if you happen to have countertops that are low, you don't have to pull the machine out or whatever to get the water tank out to fill it. That's a really nice feature. What else? The one thing it doesn't have that, like I was saying, it just doesn't have it because it would drive the price up. It does not dispense hot water. So steam, brew, stainless steel casing, thermal block, brass boiler that sits on top of the brew head. There's got some good things. And also, the PID, you can adjust it right here. Now you can program it. I can program for whatever I want. Wait a couple of seconds. It will blink right over here in the corner when it comes back to the home screen. Blink. Do your thing. Then you can get into it, and you can actually go into eco mode, which is kind of nice. There's eco mode. Now I can go off. I can have it off, which means it's not going to go into eco mode, or I can put it on, and I can go from 10 seconds or 10 minutes, that's minutes, for it to go into eco mode. And there's several settings up to 2 hours. So you just keep going through it, and you'll get into it. We don't want that on right now, so it's going to go back to the home, which is 202. I think I have it set at about 203 or so. The boiler, you'll notice, is pulsing on and off right over here. As this is heating up, and it takes only about 5-6 minutes, it's a really fast heat up because the boiler is not huge. After that starts blinking and you see that your temperature is up over here, you're ready to go. What I would recommend is, because the brew head isn't going to be up to speed yet, I would take your cup, put it under there, brew some blind shots without coffee. What that's going to do is going to heat up the portafilter, heat up your cup. It's going to do it all in one step and help you to get, a better cup of coffee a little bit faster. So see, because I did that, it's heating back up, and you'll see how fast this heats back up to temperature for you. It's coming up pretty fast. I hear the boiler kicking in. Barely hear it. When we start brewing with this, and I'm going to get some milk and some coffee in that, you'll see just how quiet the pump is as well. It's mounted on a rubber mount, which makes it nice and quiet. So let's pause. Let me get some milk. Let me get the coffee ready, and we'll be back and make a drink. All right, so before we get into brewing, I wanted to lift the lid on the Mio so I can show you the internals. I really like doing that. It's a brass boiler right here, about 20 ounces. And this is the thermo aluminum with copper running through it, thermo block for the steam side of things. The pump is right here and it is rubber mounted, so it's going to be on the quieter side. This machine also has an adjustment for the pressure. I don't know if you can see my finger down here, right there. It has access with a big screwdriver so that you can change the pressure on the boiler. We don't recommend that you play around with that too much, but if you happen to be that geeky kind of person, it is available. It has a 3-way solenoid valve also that will release the pressure off of the brew head after you're brewing and you shut it off. Also, if you'll note, the boiler is mounted right on top of the brew head down here. So the ambient heat from this is going to go right down and tend to keep your brew head at the right temperature so that your brewing comes out a lot better. And of course, all the electrical stuff, you know, for the buttons that are on the front and such. So that's basically the inside of the machine. Oh, this is the back side of the PID right here. So let's button her back up and go back to doing a brew. Okay, so we're back to do a brewing and make a drink with the Mio. It's up to temperature. I put the cup up here, the radiant heat from the boiler. The boiler is right under there. Not only does it go down and heat up the brew head, but it comes up and heats up your cup as well. So this is pretty toasty up here. So I will get some coffee. I got my milk. Let's go from there. So with this machine, technically you could brew and steam at the same time, but we do not recommend it. This has 2 separate heating elements, thermal block and a boiler, and if you get them both going at the same time, the likelihood of you popping a 50 amp breaker is right up there. So we recommend that you brew or steam first. Do one or the other, but not both at the same time. And so I'm going to do them separate and show you that how fast it is because it has a separate heating element and a separate pump. You can go right from brewing to steaming right away. There's no lag time, which is one of the things that we like about the machine. Here's a timer. Grind's a little bit fine for this machine, I would say. I didn't play around with it much, but I bet you it's still going to taste good. We're using the Tony's Seattle Coffee Gear blend, the Crew Brew blend, and that coffee is really delicious. All right, so we'll now go to steaming. I'm going to just purge it. The thermal block. So like I said, it's pretty instantaneous. It's going to be a little slower than a conventional boiler because it's a thermal block. It will be slower, but I actually think that's a better feature for a newbie. A lot of people, they get a machine and it's got this huge amount of steam coming out and they're overwhelmed by it. It's blowing the milk right out of the cup. And this is just much easier for newbies, I think. All right, that's ready to go. 3-way solenoid valve just released all the pressure. You heard it. Blow that out. Keep this moving so that your foam in the milk doesn't all rise to the surface and create what I like to call a iceberg. And that's really what it's like. It just gets this big blob and you go to pour and you got a big blob of foam on your cup. Let's see. Look how nice that looks. That came out really nice, and so did the shot. What kind of art do you want? Well, it's a lily in the spring. Gail has names for everything when it comes to her art, which really isn't art. Let's get rid of this too and show you. See, that's a relatively dry coffee cup coming out of there. No matter what, you're going to have a little residual. That's just the nature of the beast. It's coffee and it makes a mess, just like I'm doing right now. Cheers. Delicious. That's very good. That shot, I would say, went over a little bit, but that coffee, boy, that's good. It's real good. I can't hardly ruin it. I could try, but I'm not gonna. So that's the Mio from Seattle Coffee Gear by Diletta. Check it out on their website. We're going to have all the stats and all the other stuff that goes along with it. If you didn't catch everything I told you, that it'll all be posted there under specs. And check out the rest of the lineup in Seattle Coffee Gear. You know, we have a lot of nice machines, and this is just adding to the whole array of what we offer. Subscribe, thumbs up, catch you later.